Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you like the video. Consider liking and subscribing. But just judge by the title, you know what we're getting into. So this is going to be pretty, as far as in-depth as I can think to do it, review of this rifle. This rifle is an Arsenal SLR106F. In other words, it's an AK-101, or that's what it started life as. So it's just a 5.56 AK. If you guys are interested in the Arsenal nomenclature, 106, that prefix determines that it is a 5.56 AK. The F, if there's an F in there, that means folder. If there is an R in there, like this, if this was an FR, the R would indicate that it has a side rail for, a side mount, which this does not. The U indicates short, which obviously this is not. But anyway, I digress. Let's get into it. So I have had this rifle in particular since around May to June of 2019. So almost exactly 6 years. So I know Clay released his video here a while back, like last week, as of the time that I'm filming this, about there's no more 5,000 round reviews, and he brought up a good point. I did not fire 10,000 rounds through this thing over the past couple of months. It has taken me 6 years. Now that's with this gun bin in constant rotation with all my ARs, all my other AKs and stuff. So it reaching 10,000 rounds is actually pretty impressive, because I don't think I have another AK that has 10,000 rounds on it. The only other one I've ever had that I think I had that on it was a Wasser, and I sold it to a buddy that was looking for a 7.62, and on the agreement that if he ever gets rid of it, he has to sell it back. But anyway, this rifle has seen a lot of competitions. Actually, at Kalash Bash, the best I've ever done in the optics division was with this rifle. That's where all the super go fast people are, and I think I was easily top 10. I think I was like 6th or something like that, which I was pretty impressed. I didn't expect to do that well. But when I originally bought this rifle, I had heard that Arsenal was going to discontinue the 106 line. Hadn't been into AKs for a terribly long time, but I still understood the whole, supply and demand thing, So I've already seen Saigas go away, and then the prices shot up. So I knew the prices on these things were going to shoot up. That said, I never had a desire really for a 5.56 AK. I wasn't one of those people that thought it was like, oh, that's sacrilegious because it's a NATO caliber and an AK. I didn't really care. I just saw it kind of as an investment. At the time, my plan was to purchase the rifle, basically leave it in the box. I might shoot it a little bit, but basically just sit on it until the price shoots up to double or whatever, and then sell it. And the thing was, the more I shot it, the more I liked it. So, long story short, I ended up falling in love with this rifle, obviously, enough to put 10,000 rounds on it. But as you can see, there's been quite a few changes done to it. I will say, originally when I got this rifle, the front sight post was so crooked, I almost couldn't zero the irons. People give Wassers a lot of shit, and I'm not saying that Wassers aren't crooked, but people revere these Arsenals like they are almost the gold standard. And let me tell you, they make bad stuff too. There's even a series of these 106s that had I believe the bullet guides were installed wrong, and they wouldn't work. Like, they would not feed at all. So, but yeah, front sight post, super crooked. On top of that, out of all the AKs I've purchased brand new, this was probably the least accurate out of all of them. I want to say, granted, this is with a red dot, with this Ultimac's been on there almost since I got it. It's had various optics on there, but the Ultimac has been there. I was getting, with match quality ammunition at 50 yards, I was lucky if I was getting 2-inch groups, which is about 4 MOA, which is awful. Like, I was pretty disappointed. The gun was still fun to shoot. I could still make some decent hits, but I was pretty disappointed by that. So, naturally, by this time, I had already taken a couple of AKs and done what they call front-end conversion, where you chop the barrel down to whatever, 14.5. Hell, some people even leave it still 16. But basically, they get the front sight block off of there, do a front sight gas block combo, and I honestly have never seen an AK not improve from that. And this is a prime example. This thing, man, not only was I able to put this on straight to where I could zero my irons easily and have my front sight post almost directly in the center of the front sight block, but my accuracy shrunk by a lot. This thing went from, again, shooting around 2 inches at 50 with, you know, really, really good quality ammo, to now I can shoot around 1 inch with ball ammo at 50, so about 2 MOA. So it's almost on par with an average AR, like rack grade AR. I'm not talking about your match grade, you know, long range gun. I'm just talking about a rack grade AR, because this is just a rack grade AK. So yeah, and I chose to go with the JMac Customs GBC13. This one is adjustable. Part of that reason is I wanted to put a suppressor on here. So I would say around 40% of the ammo fired through this gun has been suppressed. So it's seen probably a harder life. The only other gun I can think of, besides maybe a 22, that I have around the same round count on is my 14.5, somewhat URG-I-ish style build, AR-15, which I can do a review on that later if you guys want. But that rifle saw, I want to say, around 8,000 rounds before I owned a suppressor. So it's had a much easier life than this rifle. One of the huge indicators that this rifle has had a lot of rounds through it, it is the only AK I've ever changed the recoil spring on. Not going to, you know, the whatever, the ALG. I don't particularly like to use those because it's masking the real issue, which is your gas. So I prefer to use the standard springs, and I'd say I was around the 8,000 round count mark in there, and I noticed that this action was just abnormally easy to cycle. Like, it seemed there wasn't a whole lot of resistance there to pull that bolt back. I mean, granted, the gun is very, very, very broken in at that point, but it was very easy to rack the bolt. I compared it to some of my Saigas and some of my other AKs, and I determined that the spring had definitely shortened and therefore needed to be replaced. So this has got, you know, another, since then, at least another 3,000 rounds on the new recoil spring. And that's what kills springs, guys. It's not the, like, leaving it stored like this would not kill the spring. What kills springs is the compression and decompression of them over time. So yeah, this is the, again, only AK I've ever had to do this to. So let's, what do you say we start diving into the internals and take a look at that before we go forward? All right, so I'm going to use my Insta360 Go. The audio is not quite as good, but I don't know, it seems like it's going to be a little bit easier. So we are obviously no mag, no round in there. I shouldn't have to warn you guys to not win a Darwin Award, but here we go. Internals. So, like I say, new recoil spring, relatively new. This part is obviously newer because of the TWS, which I'm keeping on there for now. So here is some of the real things people want to see. So, I mean, as you can see, there's a line of carbon because I put grease on my guns instead of oil, and I, again, shoot suppressed. So let's take the bolt out. Yeah, we have no major peening that I can see on the carrier. This is just caked up carbon that you can see here. That carrier tail, it is a little bit mushroomed out, but it's really not bad at all. Like, it started a little bit, and this thing has had the old ALG in here almost since it was new. So I've seen some people complain about the hardness of the ALG, and I didn't even reprofile the hammer face until I'd already put several thousand rounds through this thing, and they blame this on the ALG, which I'm not saying they're wrong, but when these get really bad, they really want us to keep blaming it on the ALG, and I don't really think that's the case. I think it's the metal quality, hardness, whatever you say, of the carrier. So anyway, like I say, this thing looks great. So let's take a look at the bolt. So a lot of times you'll see these right here, they'll have some peening, which we have absolutely none. We don't have any peening back here. I mean, look at all the brass and copper on here. Like this thing, tons of rounds. Let's see, no peening. Like we literally have no peening anywhere on this bolt. Original extractor spring. We're still running the original firing pin. I've been seeing a lot of the WBPs breaking firing pins within the 2,000 to 4,000 round range, which is kind of disappointing. I hope they get that figured out, but I feel bad for you, son. You got 99 problems, but my Arsenal ain't had that one. So yeah, looks good. So let's move on to, I don't know if we can get good light here. Looking at the trunnion, we don't have any cracking or any peening. Let me see. I feel like maybe the ejector, I don't really remember what it looked like when it was new, to be honest. Actually, now that I scrape on that, I thought that this right here had enough rounds hit it that it like had mushroomed back, but it actually hasn't. So yeah, this thing, and as you can see, the reprofiled, stop it, the reprofiled ALG hammer, yeah, it's done really well. So honestly, for this gun, internals wise, this thing is still in absolutely excellent shape. So the main thing that I really want to showcase is how well is this barrel holding up after that many rounds, especially that many rounds suppressed. Okay, so one of the things that determines actually whether a barrel wears out or not is actually a loss of velocity. I know a lot of long-range shooters that actually will swap barrels, not when they see a decrease in accuracy, but a decrease in velocity. Granted, for them, it's because they want to know exactly what their holds are, which I get, but they're changing barrels sometimes in 6.5 Creedmoor, for instance, after 2,000 rounds. This is obviously far past that, so I do want to see if I've lost some velocity. We're going to shoot two different kinds of ammo. I'm going to shoot some 55 grain ball ammo, then we're going to shoot some 75 grain match. See both of them. This barrel is a 13.7, so I don't expect to be having the 16-inch full velocity like it used to, but yeah, let's get into that, and then after that, then we'll shoot some accuracy groups to see how well this thing is holding up. Okay, first things first, we're just going to shoot some ball ammo. I'm not going to try to hit any targets. I just simply want to see what our velocity rating is. .2912, 2971, 2874, 2972, 2951. So that is, which I've featured it on this channel before, that is the Scorpio STV, whatever you want to call it, 55 grain out of the Czech Republic. I know a lot of people have problems with that ammo. I haven't yet, and I do like it because A, it's cheap, B, as you can see, it is spicy. I'm getting about the same velocity out of my 13-inch Galil Ace. So moving on, we're going to try some Frontier 75 grain. This stuff is supposed to be true 5.56 spec, which I have seen in other guns. It is pretty spicy stuff. So here we go. 2603, 2647, 2629, 2692, 2657. All right. So we're good there. Now let's move on. We'll try to shoot some groups. Okay, so we're gonna shoot 10 round groups with both the STV 55 grain, which again, I've had good luck with. It's actually decently accurate. And then we're gonna do 10 more rounds with the Frontier 75 grain match and see how they do, see how it performs in both. Anyway, less talk, more shoot. I'll try and keep the sweat out of my eyes if I can. All right, that was 10, and I have 1 round left of the STV. Anyway, now for the Frontier. I do kind of expect that first round to maybe be a little squirrely, as we've seen on this channel and I've seen in my personal experience. Anytime you change ammo, it seems like the first round is kind of wacky because the gun needs to be fouled to that ammo type. I don't know why that's a thing, but it does seem. Here we go. All right, I think that's it. All right, let's go down, check out the targets. Okay, so this is our top target. That was the STV. As you can see, I was pretty much zeroed to that one. I may fine tune that later on because I just got done shooting the Texas Weapon Systems video with that, so I put the dot back on it and moved it forward to the Ultimac instead of having it on the TWS. So anyway, this is our Frontier. Looks like our max spread on the Frontier for 10 rounds, and of course that's immediately firing after the STV, and it is with the heat index almost 100 degrees out here. That's pretty good. I feel like I probably would have done a little bit better had I taken my time a little bit more, blah blah blah. I can sit here and try and make excuses all day long, but that is not bad. I want to say, looks like actually the max spread on the STV is about the same. So after 10,000 rounds, this rifle is still doing pretty well. And again, 10 shot groups. I know a lot of guys will shoot like 3 shot groups. Get out of here with that bullshit. At least 5. We definitely a 10, I think, is definitely seeing what a gun is reading. And my camera had just shut off due to the aforementioned heat. So now I've got a pretty ghetto little sunshade on here. But anyway, yes, 10 shot group is more indicative really of what a rifle is capable of. I've seen a lot of other rat grade ARs do about this, some maybe a little bit better. But again, considering this thing is an AK, which is as seen as not accurate, and it has over 10,000. We're actually, to be 100% honest, I'm probably in the 11 to 12,000 rounds on this gun. So over the years, that averages 1,700-ish rounds per year. Some years more than others. But anyway, yeah, let's go back and we'll just have some final thoughts on the gun. So there we have it. Velocity is still doing quite well. Like I mentioned, I'm getting similar velocities out of my 13-inch Galil Ace, which has maybe 4,000 rounds on it. So still relatively new-ish. The internals are looking great, especially that carrier tail. I was really surprised about that. Not really surprised to see much, little to no peening on any of the bolt lugs or the trunnion. So this thing's honestly doing great. I understand that these things now cost, you know, in the 200 tacos range. But you got to ask yourself, how much are you going to shoot this thing? Are you going to run it like I have or more? If in a few years, are you going to have 10,000, close to 10,000 rounds on your gun? If that answer is yes, you've got to ask yourself, is this thing worth that? Because what is your other options? WBP, which so far my experience with them has been good. That said, I have not put one through anywhere near this many rounds. I know people that have great luck and have great things to say. That said, they are still having some issues with the firing pin. Cheap fix, but it is still a thing. And then you've got PSA, especially PSA's 5.56 AKs. I've not seen a whole lot of good from those. In fact, anytime I post something on Instagram about them, I get tons of people messaging me or commenting about all the trouble they've had with theirs. And I have to say, I've seen, out of all the calibers of PSAs, I've seen their parts, mainly the key things, front trunnion, bolt, carrier, you name it, mushroom out and peen very quickly. Like, I believe Blue Jean Operator, again, I'm going to bring him up. He had a video, I think it was his KUSA video, and he was comparing it to his PSAs. And his PSAs, I think, we'll be generous to PSA. I'm pretty sure he said they had maybe 7,000 rounds on them, 7. And they were by far more mushroomed out than the KUSA, by far more mushroomed out than this thing. So, again, I get, they're cheap and everything, and they have their warranty. It is what it is. But if you're not going to shoot it that much, maybe the PSA is okay for you. Before we get too far, I do want to throw in here that the Arsenal 106 line is typically one of the most picky of all the 5.56 AKs when it comes to magazines. Typically, they only like to run the Circle 10 magazines, which come out of Bulgaria, which is where they are made. The only 2 brands of magazines I've had great luck with besides those is, ironically, AC Unity. Excellent luck with those things so far. I would only use them for range mags. I wouldn't use them for anything serious duty. And the mags that we've been using today, my fake plum Bulgarian commercial magazines, so far have been actually really good in that rifle. I do not recommend putting anything Polish in there. I've had literally nothing but issues out of Polish-made magazines in my arsenal. So again, if you're thinking about getting one, just keep that in mind before you get into it. But again, if you're going to run and gun a lot and be serious, you may want to consider picking up one of these arsenals. Again, I know they're expensive, but there you have it. 11-ish thousand rounds on this thing, and it's been great. And a lot of those rounds have been suppressed. So anyway, if you like what you saw, consider liking, subscribing, sharing. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you see you in the next video.